certainly excited about the going to the Gator Bowl, Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, correct? I want to make sure I'm saying that right. So Tax Slayer Gator Bowl as well. This is new for me also. Obviously spent yesterday in Atlanta at the SEC Championship game, which was a neat experience and awesome being over there. It was good to hear from so many people about how much excitement there is about South Carolina football as well. There was obviously great energy with the two teams that were playing in that game yesterday, but great energy about South Carolina and what we've done this season as well from people that I talked to in Atlanta, and then drove back today, so I was on the phone quite a bit with Coach Tanner and others about the bowl, and then found out here shortly ago. But what an opportunity! I certainly want to thank the Gator Bowl for inviting us. Greg McGarity, who heads that up, was the athletic director at Georgia when I was an assistant coach at Georgia, so know him well and know he'll put on a first-class experience for our guys. Pretty neat. I was thinking about it when I found out my dad's second bowl game ever as a college football coach was in the Gator Bowl. So my second bowl game ever as a head coach back in the Gator Bowl as well. So pretty cool. He went up against a freshman quarterback at Tennessee by the name of Peyton Manning. So I hope and didn't fare well. I hope we don't face the next coming of Peyton Manning in that one. But that one was actually in Gainesville. They were at the Florida Stadium because they were building the new Gator Bowl, or the new stadium in Jacksonville for the Jaguars. So they played the game in Gainesville as well. Last time I was around the Gator Bowl was a few years ago. That's actually where I interviewed for a job with Kirby Smart in Georgia. Kirby had just gotten the job, and Georgia was playing in the Gator Bowl, and flew down the morning of the game because Kirby was down there to watch Georgia play, and interviewed with him that morning. Then he went to the game, and I hung out at the hotel until the game was over, and then hooked back up with him. So neat to be back, but what an opportunity for our players to play a team like Notre Dame, a fantastic opponent. I know our fans are excited, as they should be, playing in the Gator Bowl for the first time, I believe, since 1987, one that our players are excited about, I'm excited about, and I know our fan base is excited about a new venue, new location to be playing in, a new bowl game as well. The opportunity, I haven't seen all the bowl matchups, so I don't really know who's playing who, but I know this one's going to be right at the top as far as excitement about the game. Two nationally ranked teams that have had really great moments throughout the season as well. And the opportunity is the only game on, I believe, on December 30th at 3:30 p.m. I think that's the only bowl game also, so all eyes are going to be on us. We know that what we've done the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of excitement, like I said, nationally about us, and then certainly we all know what Notre Dame brings from a TV ratings standpoint also. So it's going to be an awesome time, awesome trip, and we're looking forward to getting down there. Certainly, said I wanted to thank the Gator Bowl. Certainly want to thank Coach Tanner, because I know he's been burning up the phones as well over this last week and a half to try and get this done. Probably the first time you two have seen each other since last week as well. Also being here, but thanks to Coach Tanner and Chance and Charles Waddell and everyone in our administration for that. And it's good to be wanted. That's what I just told our staff. We just came from a staff meeting, and there were a lot of bowl games that wanted the South Carolina Gamecocks. And I think there's something to be said for that. I tweeted it this morning, and it's true. It's great to be wanted, and we were. Got a lot of work to do between now and then. I know a lot has happened since I saw you guys last at Clemson as well. Marcus Satterfield decided to take the opportunity at Nebraska. Wish him well. Good opportunity for him to get connected back with Coach Rule and a lot of those guys that he's coached with at not only Baylor but Temple as well. So he was excited about the opportunity, and we thank him for everything that he did for South Carolina football in his 2 years here, and wish him well out in Lincoln with Coach Rule, and had a good conversation with Marcus. I've communicated with Coach Rule, and nothing but respect for them, and wish them well in regards to this search. Not that it wasn't appealing 2 years ago, but it's a lot more appealing now. There's a lot more interest in it now than what it was 2 years ago when I was trying to hire an offensive coordinator. The amount of people that have reached out to me, from sitting head coaches to NFL coaches to current coordinators, has been pretty impressive, and certainly have had some conversations, but nothing imminent. But certainly no, we can't wait forever, and we're not going to either. But I also want to make sure, as I did, everybody wants it done like tomorrow. I want to make sure we have the right fit and for everyone involved, not just in the short term, but long term as well, for what's best for South Carolina football. Had a lot of individual meetings. We played the game against Clemson on Saturday. Sunday, gave everyone off. We all deserved a day off and needed that. And then Monday morning had a team meeting and had probably 30-plus individual meetings with a lot of the guys on our football team, just touching base, the season, where they are going forward. Some of them have a lot of decisions to make in regards to their futures, and had some really, really, really positive conversations with those guys. And certainly we have some guys that still have some decisions to make. But as always, we'll be open and honest with our players and want great lines of communication that are open as we help them to make decisions for their future as well. So we'll continue to help them through that. We did that Monday, Tuesday, and really Wednesday, and then we hit the road recruiting over the weekend as well. So our coaches were in multiple places, as was I, starting on Friday. Did some home visits on Friday and school visits on Friday, and then Atlanta yesterday. And today we've been back in the office, and tonight we've got our end-of-season awards dinner for our players. So about to head to that as soon as I walk out of here. And then we will be back out on. We got some coaches leaving tonight from the banquet to fly places to go recruiting tomorrow morning, and then I'll be doing the same off and on throughout the week. Going to spend a couple days or not long, but a short time in Las Vegas this week. I'm going out there to Sylvester Croom, who gave me my first opportunity to be a head coach in the SEC, or an assistant coach in the SEC back at Mississippi State in 2004. Coach Croom is being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and I would not miss that for the world, to go out there and celebrate that with him. For the opportunity he gave me back in 2004 when I was a 26-year-old graduate assistant at the University of Tennessee, and he gave me a full-time job in the SEC. I'll forever be grateful for that. So I'm looking forward to going out there and honoring him as he's honored. And then from there, back to the recruiting trail. We'll be on the road recruiting the next week and a half, and then our plan as of now is to start bowl practices a week from this upcoming Thursday. So our players have exams this week. They need to focus on that, finishing up the semester strong. And then they'll have a little bit of a break once they get done with exams here at the end of the week. And then everybody will be back in Columbia on a week from this upcoming Thursday. Plan to get a handful of practices done here in Columbia before we break for a few days around Christmas time, and then reconvene in Jacksonville to start the week and get ready to have a great time down in Jacksonville against a great opponent. So that's kind of the update on where we are with a lot of things. Questions that you guys have?
Shane, a couple for you. You mentioned some guys got decisions to make. One is Cam Smith definitely out of the bowl game after making his declaration, and two, have any other players come to you and said, I'm opting out of the bowl?
In regards to Cam's situation, I had a good conversation with Cam, and I saw his tweet on that one, and beyond that, I don't have much to say other than I saw his tweet. No one else has told me at this point that they're not playing in the bowl game. And I think, like I said, there's a handful of guys that have some decisions to make, but everyone has told me they want to play in the bowl game, but they're also working through some particulars in regards to their specific situations.
Shane, any of those phone calls from Atlanta with any offensive coordinators?
Any phone calls?
Any of those phone calls on the way back from Atlanta with offensive coordinators?
Today? Yeah, a couple.
And I guess
when I wasn't talking to Coach Tanner about the bowl game, so we may have had it done, but he was wearing me out with both bowl things today when he was calling me.
And I guess, obviously, outside of your first go-around with hiring a staff, it's your first sort of major hiring as far as being the head coach, having a couple of years under your belt. What goes into that on your end? What do you look for? What's sort of the process of how you go about trying to hire someone for a role like that? Yeah,
no, great question. For one, it's different now because 2 years ago I was trying to put together an entire building of people, 10 coaches and coordinators and strength staff and player development and on and on and on. This year it's a little bit different because you have pieces in place, but certainly when you're hiring a coordinator, particularly on the offensive or defensive side of the ball, that everyone is affected, everyone on the staff. So you're looking at what kind of person they are. First of all, I want to make sure they fit with what we're doing in that building. How they would fit potentially with the coaches, that you already have on the staff, schematically. schematically what they believe in and what it would particularly, potentially look like. Does that person help get the very best out of your current personnel that you have on offense as well? Background, where they've been, where they've recruited, coaches they've been around, systems they've been a part of. Have they called plays before? Have they not called plays before? Have they been a coordinator? Have they been in the SEC? There's a lot of things that you look at, and there's a lot of great coaches that certainly have reached out, and some people would say, "Oh my God, like you could go hire that guy. That's a slam dunk." Well, maybe not. It may not be the right fit for what we're looking for. It may not be the right fit for our building and our people, and you're always just looking for that. If that makes sense.
Shane, I know you guys haven't started a lot of bowl prep yet, but do you have a plan of who that 10th assistant coach is going to be and who's going to call plays maybe in the bowl game?
We haven't gotten there yet. Right now, Lonnie Teasley and Greg Atkins are both on the road recruiting for us. They were both out last week. They'll both be out this week. So, that's something that you can certainly adjust and be flexible with. But so both those guys are, I guess they're technically the 10th assistant right now because they're both on the road recruiting. And then as we get closer to it, our graduate assistants and analysts, they're not on the road recruiting this week. So to me, this is the most critical week of the year for them because they should be experts on Notre Dame when our coaches come off the road here recruiting in a week and a half. So those guys will really be working to break down Notre Dame, help put together an initial plan for Notre Dame while we're recruiting. And thankfully, we have great technology with Joe Lyle and his staff now to where we can watch Notre Dame on the iPads when we are traveling, recruiting, and in hotels and rental cars and airplanes like we are over the next week and a half, where we as coaches can get a head start on Notre Dame. And in regards to the play caller, no, and I probably won't tell you guys either, just not to be a jerk, but if I say that so-and-so is the play caller, then obviously Notre Dame's going to go back and look at that guy's background when maybe that guy has called plays other places or places he's been. Or if you say the running backs coach is going to be the play caller, does that mean that they're going to call 95% running plays in the bowl game? Or if you say the receivers coach is going to be the play caller, does that mean we throw it 95% of the time? So I've talked to all those guys kind of about where we are, and it's certainly a group effort, putting the plan together, and then once we get to game day, we'll kind of see where we are. Y'all had a heck of a wedding Friday night, I saw, huh? I'm disappointed I didn't get an invitation. I thought Wes and I were somewhat close. Guess not. Congrats to Wes, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, you said a couple minutes ago you've had several individual meetings with players and things like that about their futures. I guess in preparing for a bowl game, maybe some guys transfer, maybe some guys opt out. What are some challenges in that, and then maybe also some opportunities in that with, okay, maybe one player is not here, but someone else in the depth chart, I don't know, maybe gets another chance?
Yeah. No, I think it's just that. It's a challenge when you lose guys that are key players for you. We obviously want every single person that was at Clemson last weekend to be playing in Jacksonville on December 30th. That's ideally what we would want. When you don't have that, it certainly affects a lot of things. Your depth at certain positions, special teams, how guys' roles may figure in, things like that. So it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity, like you said. Last year, who was it? JJ, Enagbari, and Zaquandre, I guess, did not play in the bowl game last year. Well, it gave, Kevin Harris had a fantastic bowl game last year for us. They didn't play the same position, but Boogie Huntley, had a fantastic bowl game for us last year with JJ being out. So it gives other guys opportunities to step up. And then the other thing that we can do, too, is the NCAA allows you to play in 4 games and not lose a year of eligibility. So we've certainly got some freshmen that haven't played in 4 games yet that we could still play a game, still could play in this bowl game that maybe haven't been key figures for us this season. So that helps as well, just from a depth standpoint, to give those guys an opportunity to contribute also.
I got 2 for you.
Okay.
Considering Coach Atkins' health issues this year, do you expect him back as a full-time offensive line coach next season?
He's out recruiting right now. Okay. So we're full speed ahead right now, Phil.
Okay. Secondly, as you go through your search for coordinator, knowing you have a quarterback, Spencer Rattler, who, is thinking about his future, maybe staying, maybe going, do you talk with him a little bit and kind of bounce ideas off of him and say, hey, what do you think of this guy, this way he runs things? You kind of run things not through him, but kind of consult him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, every time I talk to a coach, I'm not calling Spencer and giving him a play-by-play of everything that guy talked about, but certainly Spencer has a decision to make, and whether it's Spencer or whether it's another position that has a position open, you want to make the hire to make sure that guy's going to fit with the people that you have in that room as well, whether it be defensive backs, linebackers, all that, and you want that to be a good fit. But certainly a quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator is going to work closely with the quarterback. And again, when I say I want to make the best hire for the short term and long term, I'm going to do the best thing for South Carolina football. But ideally, Spencer has a decision to make. But not only Spencer, but all of our quarterbacks. I want to hire someone that I think would be a great fit for every quarterback in that room as well. And go back to what you said about Greg. I mean, Greg is through the health, issues that he had, and Greg worked. He wasn't necessarily on the field, but Greg was active in what we were doing in our building, the last half of the season, and he feels great right now, and certainly we'll always, discuss things going forward. But he's well and out recruiting right now for us, and excited about it.
How much have you been able to watch Notre Dame this season, either on TV, and I guess you had one common opponent, so maybe saw a little bit of them while.
Yeah, one common opponent getting ready for Clemson, and they certainly played great that night. Had an interception, I think. That was for a return for a touchdown maybe. I know they blocked a punt. I guess they had an interception backed up deep that Clemson threw, and then they blocked a punt in that game as well, and did a nice job offensively. I really haven't. I don't know if I've seen them. Actually, I take that back. I watched them on versus Southern Cal because we got back from Clemson that night, and the Southern Cal game was on. So I was watching that one just for not knowing that I was going to be playing Notre Dame in the bowl game, but more just friends at Southern Cal with Lincoln and players that I knew, and it was the game that was on that I was flipping around and watching. So I've watched them a little bit. Obviously, don't know Marcus Freeman, but great respect for what he's done in his career, and then this year as well. They started slow, like we did in some ways, but they've been on fire in a lot of ways, and have done a great job of continuing to get better throughout the year. They've obviously got some players on their offense and defense that we tried to recruit either here at South Carolina or even when I was at Oklahoma. So I know they've got talent as well, because some of those guys we recruited heavily when I was at Oklahoma and South Carolina. So I know they'll be talented, well coached, and great tradition, great team, and should be a heck of a matchup. I know the Gator Bowl's got to be excited about it.
You've got these, you've got these 15 practices now, I think, for bowl games. How do you as a coach is it not 15? Or you're shaking your head. How do you as a coach kind of structure those, and what do you look for in those maybe that's different from a regular week when you're trying to develop guys and you've got all these practices kind of lined up in a month?
Yeah, it's you're balancing getting ready for a football game, but you're also, bowl games are so huge because it's essentially becomes somewhat of an extra spring practice to help develop your current roster. So we always want to get better as a football team. So we want to get better as a team during this time, get our individuals better. It kind of goes back to the recruiting calendar. Last year's signing day, I think, was like December 14th or 15th, somewhere in that range. This year, it's December, I think, 21st. So it's a week later, which that affects your bowl practices. So I think last year, for example, I think North Carolina, we got a full, I want to say 8 days of practice in Columbia before we broke for Christmas and then went to Charlotte. This year, I did different scenarios for all the different bowl games. Just weird like that. But coming back from Clemson and that Sunday, just kind of jotting together like a calendar. Okay, if we go to wherever, Tampa, Orlando, wherever it may be, and Jacksonville, here's what the calendar would look like. And I believe it will just end up being 4 practices, I think, in Columbia before we end up no, that's a lie. 3 practices and then kind of into a normal game week. So we'll get about a week of practices. But to answer your question, it worked for us last year, and we'll probably do something similar this year, that I want to have like a normal game week, if you will. We practice on Sunday, take Monday off during the season. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are our main practices. So I want to have like a normal game week before we break for Christmas. So, okay, if I say this is going to be our last day in Columbia, then the last day in Columbia is like a Thursday practice, the day before Wednesday, the day before that's Tuesday, the day before that would be Sunday because we take Monday off. So having like a normal week and then having as many practices that aren't about Notre Dame before that, if that makes sense. So we're probably going to get about 3 or 4 practices on just ourselves, kind of like an extra spring practice. It's going to be more for the development of the young guys. Then after that, it'll be 4 practices of Notre Dame prep, like a game week. And then when we get to Jacksonville, it would be another game week, but it's just kind of like fine-tuning and shorter and less time on the field. Worked for us last year, so we'll see if it works this year. Hopefully it does.
Yeah, because speaking of, we got a couple quick ones for you. Speaking of Notre Dame, obviously a legendary program. Beyond watching Rudy, do you have any experiences over your life with the Irish?
Well, first of all, I got to bring up Rudy with the players because it crushed me last week. Half of our, actually not half, I think like 90% of our team hasn't seen the movie Hoosiers, which it just blows my mind. Like last year, it was the program that some of our guys hadn't seen the program. But then we brought up Hoosiers because Limbo had it in a special teams meeting with Jimmy Chitwood on the PowerPoint with the quote, "I'll make it, coach." And I saw guys looking around. I asked Brad Johnson, "Do you have any idea what movie that's from?" And nobody did. So I'm like, well, surely I don't want to like throw guys under the bus, even though I just did Brad. Ask somebody else, "Do you have any idea?" And they know none of them knew. I think Austin Stogner knew it was Hoosiers. So it's like, how have you not seen Hoosiers? So we got to talk Rudy because I don't know if they've seen Rudy either. I'm sure they've heard of it, but that was a sad day to find out that many guys on our team have not seen the movie Hoosiers and Jimmy Chitwood. My experiences at Notre Dame, yes, had some great ones actually. Movie Rudy. In 2001, I was a graduate assistant at Tennessee, and we played up there. So that was my first time ever going up there, and what an experience that was to be able to, play in that, coach in that stadium, even though I was just a graduate assistant, and the tradition and beautiful campus. And then obviously an amazing trip in 2017 when I was at Georgia. So I guess that was like the first time an SEC team had played in South Bend, either ever or in forever. And that was awesome. That was a Saturday night, Jake Fromm's first start because he had just gotten hurt the week before against App State. And we went up there with a true freshman quarterback, beat Notre Dame on a Saturday night in South Bend, which was pretty awesome. And then ended up playing for the national championship that same year. So hopefully this Notre Dame experience will kickstart something special like that for us in 2023 as well.
And then
Sorry for the Hoosiers kick. I'm sorry. It
you're
still
good.
bothers me. It really
and
does.
then you got pretty intimate with mayonnaise last year. Any plans to like wrestle a gator, eat gator
Nah,
for this?
they haven't brought up anything to me yet. I say yet because I said it last week in an interview. Like all these bowls are like, man, this guy let mayonnaise be dumped on his head last year, so he's probably open to anything. But I'm not a big alligator guy, so I can't imagine it's going to be anything with live gators. But I'm all for it. If it means he won the game, I'm willing to talk about the possibilities.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
So you talked earlier today, or you wrote it on Twitter, that you're so proud of the progress this program has made, and you're playing such a storied program in Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl. Just talk about what a game like this, playing in a matchup like this, does for the momentum in the program, and then also for recruiting purposes as well.
Yeah, no, it's huge, and I am proud of the progress. To be, 2 years ago, this team was 2-8, and then last year. To go to a bowl game and win it, and then this year to have multiple bowls that are fighting over you as well. I mean, Coach Tanner probably felt like a 5-star recruit this week with all the people that wanted us in his game, wanted us in their game. So I'm proud of the progress that we've made. Certainly, the last 2 weeks have been monumental for our program, just on a national stage and with recruits as well. That validates what we're doing and that we're on the right track. And we were doing some great things already before that, and recruiting was going really well before that. But certainly being able to do what we did against Tennessee and Clemson was huge, and has done nothing but create more energy. There was a lot more, I don't want to say excitement, but it was a lot more fun walking into high schools last week, coming off a win over Clemson and a win over Tennessee than what it was the previous year when we hadn't done that.
Shane, would you consider calling the plays offensively?
I would, if I felt it was the best thing for the team. Something I haven't ruled out.
And also, when was the first time you got an inkling that Marcus Satterfield may take a job with Nebraska? How did that process go in the communication?
Bless you. It was, I know the relationship that he and Matt have. So once Matt got let go by Carolina, I knew because of what Coach Rule had done in the in college football that he was going to have other college teams that were interested in him. So I certainly knew that he would make a phone call to Marcus if he ever got a job again in college. And then we were actually busing up to the upstate on Friday, and we were somewhere around, I guess, like Newberry or somewhere, and I saw it on my phone that Matt Rule was going to be the new head coach at Nebraska. So when I saw that, I figured there would at least be a conversation between Marcus and Matt and myself, and then Marcus and I talked. We didn't talk about it at all. I didn't want to take away from the Clemson game. And then we talked on Sunday and a couple times. Talked on Monday morning a couple times. Was there another one, or was that it? And that was it. Yeah, sorry.
Shane, any plans to call Dabo and get a Notre Dame scouting report from him?
See, Gene's not in here, is he? He asked that question like a month ago, and it went like sideways, and it turned into me calling Clemson about stuff. So no, I probably will at some point. I don't know. He's congratulations to them on last night, and he's got a big one. So if he wants to reach out, I guess what they're playing Tennessee. So at this point, no, hadn't thought about it, but. When you're getting ready for bowl games, you talk to a lot of different people, in regards to who they've played and things like that as well. So,
We're going to cut it off. Coach has a little dinner he's got to get to.
yes, sir. All right. Thank you, guys. We will see you soon. Appreciate all you do.